When it's time for leaving, I hope you'll understand that I was born a rambling man.
Welcome back. Sorry, I'm just wallowing to Taralei today. It's all good. Don't worry about me. You know, I'll be fine eventually.
It'll be okay, man.
No, it won't, Taralei. It'll never be okay. Anyway, how are you, Ben?
And the emo look with my hair over my face
know,
right as
like,
you
you
asked
okay?
that. Like, I've been fine.
Oh, God. An emo CJ would be an interesting goddamn
That
thing.
Would be hilarious. You know what? Instead of slicking back your hair, like get it.
Like,
know,
what would that
yeah,
emo look like? Because I'm a pompadour guy. There's no
you'd
emo
have
pompadour.
to. You'd have to brush it down so it's like bangs over your eyes, like so
Yeah.
side over your eyes, and then wear all black if you got that. Yeah,
Wow.
I don't know that. It'd be interesting. Throw on some guy liner.
I like
Yeah.
that. I've never heard that before. I
You
like
never
some
heard
guy liner.
I guess that would be an emo CJ. I don't know.
Everything's falling apart today. My guests are
okay.
moving around from Friday, and we haven't even. I just got an email.
Yeah,
I'm like, what am I doing in my life here? But
my gosh.
we were supposed to talk about cannabis in this rescheduling.
Yes.
So I'm curious about this for one or two fronts.
Right.
Number one is, you heard the previous administration. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to, Are we getting there?
We're making some steps, but
Okay.
that's I wanted to get on here and talk about, a lot of people may have seen in the news that like there's been a recommendation to reschedule cannabis. So cannabis, I've seen a lot of misinformation out there about this, people talking about it being like, oh, it's already been legalized. That is not what is happening, and nothing has actually happened yet. Yeah, I just thought I'd come on, clarify that for you
So
guys.
what's this mean?
And what it means is right now cannabis is a Schedule 1. I know I've talked about that before. It means that right now it is considered one of the most dangerous drugs. Schedule 1 drugs include like meth, heroin, these are the ones that are, so Schedule 1
That's
is
the bad
drugs
one.
it's drugs that are dangerous, highly addictive potential with no medicinal benefit. And then as you go down the schedule, higher numbers, so Schedule 2, Schedule 3, they are still, maybe they have a medicinal benefit or something. And so that's what they're recommending. The Department of Health and Human Services recommended that they reschedule to Schedule 3 instead of Schedule 1. So if this passes, right now it's been submitted to the DEA, and they're in the public comment period. So I'll talk a little bit about that in a bit, but right now the public comment period is open until July 22nd, and after that the DEA will continue to review this before making their decision.
Yeah, and now what I'm looking and getting into here is, it's not going to legalize marijuana.
No.
But it would make a pretty significant mile marker, at least, towards
Yes.
reducing the federal limitations.
It would be a very big step forward.
Now, is this when they can start understanding its therapeutic processes better, too?
So I believe Schedule 3 is, yes.
Okay.
It will state that there is some known medical benefit, and it would make it, schools, laboratories would be able to access more funding to be able to do more research on cannabis.
Well, and I'm, just looking at some of this stuff, and, under the CSA, when determining that a drug should be controlled, the Secretary of the Homeland Security and the Attorney General have to consider 8 factors. Okay, let me go through these factors. Can we go through them?
Go for it.
The drug's actual or relative potential for abuse, number 1. Number 2, scientific evidence of its pharmacological effect. If known, the state of current scientific knowledge regarding the drug or other substance, its history and current pattern of abuse, the scope, duration, and significance of that abuse, what, if any, risk there is to public health, is it psychic, it's psychic or physiological dependency. That was, I like psychoactive better than psychic. I didn't like how they labeled that. Liability, whether the substance is an immediate precursor of a substance already controlled. Now that's kind of I don't like the key terms there. That's kind of the
whole scheduling system is a little It needs. I personally think it needs to be updated
that's
as
terrible.
a whole. It's not. It's still. Yeah, the wording is so strange.
Because to me,
and
these
that's
are all gray area questions. I mean, not
Right.
to cut you up, but I mean,
No.
what's the risk to public health? I mean, yeah, if someone smokes pot and gets behind the wheel of their car, that is a
Right.
risk to public health and
Yes.
safety. But what's that mean? Define
Right.
what public health is.
Right. And that's the thing. So much of this is so broad, and that's where, it is good. Like right now, we've got it. It is, the DEA is open to public comments. So that will all contribute. So whatever you feel, whether you're watching and you're like, oh, I hate weed, or if you are really, if you think that this is important, you have people in your life, who use cannabis, it's very important to make a comment during this period.
Now I have a question for you
Yes.
that you might, I don't know if you've looked into, I'm sure you have, but let's say this moves and they do move to reschedule and now we go to 1 to 3.
Right.
It's a Schedule 3 narcotic or drug. What, do you still get the same severe penalty if you were in like a pretty, a state that doesn't have any of those cannabis friendly laws?
You wouldn't get federal penalties, but it would still
get
be
the
up to
state.
the
Okay,
state.
gotcha.
Yes. So some states might change things, might change what would happen,
Okay.
Depending on it. But as of it would only be affecting federal. It should also make it easier for, cannabis companies to use banks. So right now, still a lot of dispensaries are all cash only still because with it being at this level on the schedule. And I'm not sure, I think there would still need to be some other process before that would actually take effect, even if it is rescheduled. But, that's something that would also help with that. So not only will it help with more people getting access, it won't be as heavily penalized in states where it's still, not legalized. And it... I'm listening. Sorry.
No. So let me ask you this, just because I'm just kind of I'm folling along here now and understand what because whenever you sent me that text, we were going so fast. I'm like, yes, sounds great. See ya.
Yeah. I reached out and I was like, I want to talk about this, and he was like, yeah, cool.
Yeah, great, wonderful.
Yeah,
it's a good thing to talk about,
yes.
though. But so what I'm reading here and what I'm kind of just seeing, it's to reschedule marijuana applies to substances meeting the statutory definition of marijuana.
Yes.
So does that mean Delta 9? Does that mean all those?
So Delta 9 is the one that's cannabis that is legal. So that's what you would get at dispensaries. Delta 8 is
that's
Delta
what I
8
meant.
is the synthetic and usually where we're seeing it legally sold is by hemp.
Yeah.
So no, it would not fall under the same. So Delta 8 and all that is a separate thing, and there is a lot going on in that right
That's
now
a
where they're
whole
potentially
nightmare.
but that is actually Delta 8 is a whole separate thing. All the synthetics, because it's considered hemp instead of cannabis.
That is
and so this
interesting.
only affects cannabis. It doesn't affect.
Are you a Delta 8 person?
Not personally.
Yeah.
I have had a couple of different Delta 8 products that I really liked, that I enjoyed, but most Delta 8 products tend to either they almost always give me like a really sharp headache. And then they also tend to get me uncomfortably high if I take too much, to a point where like I don't feel like I can balance it out with CBD or something.
Yeah.
So, and it is, there's so much confusion around that too. Like a lot of people are like, oh, well, it's naturally occurring in the plant. Yes, but in such small levels that it's negligent. It's not, and
It's not very
when you're
regular.
buying it legally, if it's done right, which unfortunately that's another thing.
That's
Both
what I
hemp
was
and
talking about.
cannabis, it's not. There's no standardized form of testing, and so. Yeah, sometimes even when you go to the dispensary, you want to look into the companies that you're purchasing from. You want to make sure that they're using good labs to send their, labs who are doing things right, and making sure there's no metals. They're not just checking the levels of cannabinoids, whether you're buying hemp or cannabis products. You want to make sure they're doing thorough testing and making sure there's not anything else in it.
I heard that this Delta 8 can be pretty nasty because it's not the Delta 8, it's the way that some of these products are getting made.
It's the way that it's made.
Yeah.
And so, it can be found in such small amounts in the plant, but when you're finding it in the larger amounts in the flour that you're finding at gas stations or head shops or anything, what it is they have to do this process where they're converting the CBD pulled out of hemp, and it's a very complicated process. I am not educated enough to explain it, but usually there's been a lot of instances where Delta 8 products, when they come out of it, they have a lot of metals or toxins from the process that are left behind. And so that's where there have been a lot of issues with Delta 8 now sending people to the hospital just because, so that's something,
are there states still really fighting this?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Even Illinois has had a few things go through the state government this year about Delta 8 and hemp products.
Well, no, I mean, I get Delta, but I'm talking about,
you mean cannabis?
Yeah, like cannabis in general.
Yeah.
Are there states still fighting this?
I lived in Tennessee. Oh, really? Tennessee's fighting it hard.
Okay, come on. We all know one of those good old boys.
I know, because it's so interesting because, that's where I lived before I moved back in 2019. And so I still have a lot of friends there. It's still even if I were to go back to visit, I would not be bringing anything with me, because Tennessee is still real strict about it. You can absolutely find it. They even, I don't know if they're still operating, but there have even been they called it a cannabis restaurant, which to me blew my mind because of how strict the laws are in Tennessee, especially then when you look at the menu and it's all Delta 8 stuff. It's hemp. It's but it was in Nashville and it was and so I was like, all right, and I was kind of mad about it because I was looking into it. I was and the guy running it was some rich white guy who moved in from California, and he was like, oh, I've got all this experience, but then what he's using is hemp and Delta 8, and and the only reason he's allowed to operate and do it in that manner is because he's some rich white guy. If it were a black guy there in Nashville, I assure you he would have been shut down immediately. I get
what you're saying, but we can't really say that on the show because we don't know for sure.
Okay, you can't say that.
No, but I
lived there. I worked in those halls.
I get what you're saying,
in Nashville.
But we don't know the circumstance either because in all seriousness,
we don't know but. And I don't know if this guy's still operating or anything, but I was like, it's very, Tennessee's very, it's a battleground for a lot of stuff right now. Anyway, and cannabis is still one of them. But so yes, a lot of the states that aren't medically legal are still fighting it. Yes.
So how long do people have, and how do they comment on this?
So we have until July 22nd. Okay. So that's a little over a week still at this point. If you want to learn more about it before you would make a comment, best option I can tell you to do is go to the Last Prisoner Project's website, actually. So if you go to lastprisonerproject.org/rescheduling, they have so much information broken down on their website. And they also, I want to know, and this is personally what my belief is too, they are encouraging people to use the comment period to note that, they do want it rescheduled, but really what they're pushing for is descheduling. Yeah. Having it, because that would help so much more. That would open up so many more barriers for us in terms of research. It would make things a lot easier for getting people out of prison. The thing is, one of the big things about this is even if it's rescheduled, it's not without the president making some sort of action as well, or without us getting some other laws passed. It's not going to do anything for the people who have already been affected by this. I get it, so there will still be people in prison. There will still be people with charges. It's not going to drop anyone's charges. It's not going to stop people from continuing to be arrested or charged. It just slightly lowers the level of what charges you would be receiving.
I'll be darned. Yeah. Well, I just, that's interesting. Yeah. And it's fascinating because I'm reading this one too, that you kind of lists a little bit, it's almost the same, kind of identical, different site though. And it's just amazing to me though, that this is just, think of all the resource that is being spent on this, good, for it or against it. Yeah. When there are so many other issues that we could be putting our resources and thoughts and money behind, and we're arguing over whether or not cannabis should be a class 1 or D. It should be descheduled, number 1. But number 2, every one of these people. I mean, you can't tell me that not these opponents, and especially like you said, down into it, because that is a scary place with pot. You don't go down there with it.
No.
But you can't tell me those good old boys, Taralei,
I know,
weren't smoking pot their entire time in the back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to be funny about it, but it's the same thing.
I know some of those legislators are stepping outside the Capitol and token up. Like, absolutely.
It's just ridiculous that this is like for all of the things. I mean, I was driving through Tennessee. I was driving through Tennessee, and the guy's internet or campaign platform was not like fiber. It was just to bring broadband internet to the county.
Yeah.
Okay. There was no.
There's a lot of that down there.
But I'm thinking, you guys don't even have internet in half of this state, but you're more focused on this. Makes sense.
Yep.
Taralei, always good talk. What else do we do for this? Do we just...
So like I said, lastprisonerproject.org/rescheduling has a lot of information, breaks it all down very well. And then they have, if you're not sure what to say, I think they have a sample, things you can copy and paste. But so if you want to go directly to submit your public comment, you'd go to www.regulations.gov. So that's regulations.gov, and you're going to look up docket number DEA-1362, and then you can type your comment directly or attach a file for longer comments. And that's open until July 22nd. And that's... Yeah, so DEA-1362, that docket is about rescheduling cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. So, yeah, and if you want it, you can also, if you'd rather not do something online, you can also do it via mail, and all that information is going to be broken down on regulations.gov or even on Last Prisoner Project's website, really cool, which I told you guys about earlier. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, always keeping us updated, Taralei. I appreciate it. And...
for your mother, got to keep you guys educated on everything going on with
I just
my favorite
can't believe,
plants.
but I'm sure I'm like so many other people that are like, I can't believe this is happening. It's time to move on type of thing. Just my thought.
Right.
Just move on from the damn subject. There's 800 fights. Pick another one. Right.
Oh yeah. Especially because the thing is with. A lot of people like to talk about there's not been enough studies and stuff, but there have. I have an entire degree. I went back to SLU and got an entire degree on cannabis science. We had everything from how to grow the plant to the pharmacology of how the plant interacts with our bodies. We do have this information. We do know that it has medical benefit. So at the very least, yes, absolutely, it needs to be rescheduled from Schedule 1. But there's so much more we could do, really. As a plant that's very safe, it should be removed from the schedule, and people should stop being arrested and having their lives ruined over it. So
there you go, 100% agree. I will see you back here on Wednesday. We got Lacey McDonald, we got Brent Walker, and we got so much more. So join me then, won't you? On that note, have a great day and try your best to stay out of jail.